Stranger Things wasn't a show that I was completely sold on when it first came out. I heard a lot of people talk about it, but then a lot of people can hype something up to the point where it's like, okay, I don't understand the hype. I'm gonna just kind of stay away from it and whatever. It's a show that's been on since 2016. It took me in 2022 to actually get onto the Stranger Things hype train, I guess you could say. And I said to myself after binge watching the entire series in like 2 weeks that now I can understand where the hype comes from, and I'm completely locked in and cannot wait for season 5, which unfortunately I have to wait until 2024 for, because I believe that's when they're slated to return. But I can be patient. But the reason why I'm talking about that is because this right here in the picture is one of the actors from the show Stranger Things. And he stands out like a sore thumb because he's only one of two black characters or main characters on the show. So he really stands out in the cast. But in case you don't know his name is Caleb McLaughlin, and he plays Lucas Sinclair on Stranger Things. The only other black character on the show who has, I guess you can say, has upgraded to more like a main character type of role. She's still in the supporting area, but she's more visible now, is a character by the name of Erica Sinclair, who plays his sister, for those of you who don't watch the show. And one thing I like about his character is that even though he's the only black male character on the show, he's not treated as a stereotype. He's not seen as the token black guy. He actually helps and assists with fulfilling any type of missions that goes on in this show. And it's a lot of stuff that goes on in the show, for those of you who are unaware. For those of you who watch the show know that it's a lot that goes on, especially in this most recent season. My goodness, season 4 was off the chain in a multitude of ways. And he's a very, very phenomenal actor. Like, he really sold it for me in this season, as far as being a very good emotional and dramatic actor. Considering now that they are older, because when they got started, they were kids. And now a lot of them are like 18, 19, 20, 21. Like, now they're being more mature. But I actually first heard about him when he was in the New Edition story that came on BET, which is probably one of the best things BET put on their network in years. I forgot who he played in the movie, but he was in there, when they were kids. And this was like a year after Stranger Things that came on. So you got to think he was starting to get more roles just after doing his big role, which was Stranger Things. And that's how I first got exposed to him. And then they said, oh, he's on Stranger Things. I was like, okay, but it still wasn't enough to make me watch the show. I just wasn't locked in with it. It just was what it was. But I just wanted to bring people aware of who he was before I got into why I'm talking about him. So the reason why I'm doing this video is because someone, and shout out to Tawana because she was the someone, posted up a story in the news section of my Discord where he has come out and said that he is revealing that he had about the racist things that fans of the show have said about him. And I'm not surprised. That's what it is. Because like I said, he was the only black character as far as the core set of characters, especially when the show first started, because his sister, the actress who plays his sister, she really didn't become a prominent fixture of the show until like the 3rd season. That's when her character or her role started to become elevated more to a supporting role. Because in the first 2 seasons, she wasn't really existent. She was just there. Like, she had like a scene here or there, but then that was it. And especially since out of the entire cast of kids, she was like the youngest. So she's actually one of the few people on the show, one of the few kids on the show who's still a minor, while the rest of them are like 18 and over. She's like 15 or 16 now. So she's still a minor. So she literally is the baby of the show, like one of the youngest, if not the youngest character on the show. So she didn't have that many parts in the first 2 seasons, but in the 3rd season, she became more prominent. In the 4th season, she really got elevated to the point where now a lot of people really like her character. Because I'm gonna be honest, in the first couple of seasons, she kind of reminded me of Dee from What's Happening. If y'all know the show What's Happening and know the D character, that's how his sister was in the first couple of seasons, and even in the third season as well. But back to him, I just had to give y'all a little bit of a backstory. He's basically come out and said that, that he's dealing with racism from the fans of the show, which I'm not surprised because, like I said, he stands out like a sore thumb. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this article that's coming from E! News, and we're going to go and see what he's talking about. It says, Caleb McLaughlin is getting candid. The 20-year-old actor who plays Lucas on the Netflix smash hit Stranger Things opened up about the racism he experienced since the show's inception in 2016. It definitely took a toll on me as a younger kid. My very first Comic-Con, some people wouldn't stand in my line because I was black, Caleb said at the Heroes Comic-Con in Brussels, September 25th. Some people told me, oh, I didn't want to be in your line because you were mean to Eleven. And they're talking about, it's a character on the show named Eleven. And the show is really heavily centered around her, especially since she's the only character in the show that has powers. Caleb said the lack of support is evident on social media too. All you have to do is check the numbers. Why am I the least favorite? Caleb questioned. Why do I have the least amount of followers? I'm on the same show as everyone else from season 1. For the record, Caleb's 15.4 million Instagram followers, while impressive, trail behind Millie Bobby Brown's, who plays 11, 58.5 million and 27.6 million and 26.3 million accumulated by Stranger Things co-stars Noah Schnapp and Finn Wolfhard, respectively. Gaten Matarazzo comes close to Caleb's follower count, but still boasts 18.7 million. Caleb said his parents had been a support system for him and early on pointed out the bigotry he would likely face. Shout out to his parents for pointing that out early on in his career as a child actor when he first got on this show. Because like I said, he was the only black character, the only black male character in that lineup of kids. You had three PC boys, one PC girl, and he was the only black male, the only one. And then when season 2 kicked in, they brought in another PC female character, and he was still the only PC male. And I think when they started to elevate his sister, who, like I said, her name is Erica, then that's when they say, okay, now we have 2 black characters there, but he's still the only black male, no matter if it's, with the kids or even the adults. Well, I take that back. With the adults, it was one black male cop. It was one guy who was a male cop and he was a black cop, but his part isn't really as big. Then of course you have the actor that plays his dad, but him being the parent outside of the character Joyce, because she's really heavily connected, the parents of the other kids aren't as prominent in the show. I know I'm kind of like, for some of you who never watched the show are probably like, what is he talking about? If you watch the show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So really, when you think of black characters on Stranger Things, his character and his sister are the 2 that's going to come to mind automatically. They even threw like another black cop into the show this recent season as well, but he didn't have that much of a big part either. He was in a couple of episodes. But when you think about main characters, it's him and the actress who plays his sister. So let me get back into it. My parents had to be like, it's a sad truth, but it's because you're the black child on the show, Caleb said. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And I'm glad they told him that early on, because when he got started on the show, he was probably like 12, maybe, probably around that age when it got started. Still, Caleb insisted that he doesn't let races get in the way of the message he aims to promote. Because I was born with this beautiful chocolate skin, I'm not loved, he said. But that's why with my platform, I want to spread positivity and love, because I do not give hate back to people that give hate to me. And then it just finishes off with all 4 seasons of Stranger Things are available to stream on Netflix. That, I'll admit, that was kind of a PC response, and I'm not talking about my definition of PC. I'm talking about the original one. That was a kind of a PC response that he gave at the end when he says, I want to spread positivity and love because I do not give hate back to people that give hate to me. I know he's only saying that because with his platform, he knows if he steps out of line even a little bit, that could possibly ruin him. And he probably knows as a black man, I can say he's a black man because he's over the age of 18 now, that he understands his lane in this industry. And if he gets off course even one time, that could make or break him, especially when he is on a very popular series. Like Stranger Things has been like the highest rated show on that platform ever since it got started, and probably one of the top shows on any streaming platform. Like every time a new season gets started, it always shoots to #1 and it practically just stays there for like a number of weeks. And with this most recent season, let me just say that it stayed at the #1 spot for a while. And I think the most recent season started in May. Then they did 2 volumes, and then they came with volume 2 like the 1st of July. So they split it in 2. Because some of these episodes were long as I don't know what, like I think like 2 episodes were like 2 hours long. Like they were movies, they was like watching a movie. But I think another reason why he probably waited until now to say this is because he's older now. He's an adult, so he could formulate the words a little bit better than if he was a child. You know, as a child, he probably wouldn't be able to point it out. But that's why I'm glad that his parents told him early on what it was. They probably figured out, like, once they realized he was the only black child in that lineup, as far as the main characters go, what was going to come his way when this happened. Because it sounds like to me, he's speaking from past experience, like when the show first got started. Maybe not so much now, because the show has created and carved out a lane for itself where he has a fan base now to the point where he doesn't really probably have to worry about it. I take that back, probably still does, but not nearly as much as it was when he first started. But then, of course, you still have to have your head on a swivel because you just never know. And I think when it comes to Hollywood, with black people in the entertainment industry, you can never get too comfortable because, yeah, granted, your face is everywhere. Sure, you are making a good amount of money. You are living the life. You are doing what you love. But at the end of the day, you can still get treated as if you are someone beneath someone else. Like they can still treat you however. And we've seen that play out time and time again. And it will continue to play out that way all the time. So never, ever, ever get comfortable. If I was to sit and tell him that to his face right now, or if I could say anything to his face, I would say never get too comfortable with what you're doing. And when I say don't get too comfortable, I'm talking about, as far as around certain people, or, I would say just around the company that you keep and your image. Don't get too comfortable in thinking that you are untouchable or anything of the sort. Now, one thing I did leave as a comment when I saw it in the Discord when Tawana left that article there, I said, watch now, you're going to have these individuals who, if they get a hold of what he said, they're going to come out and say that he's being woke. Because whenever a black person calls out racism, that's them being woke. We know their lingo. We can read right between the lines when it comes to them. As a matter of fact, I was watching a video that the amazing Lucas did. How ironic, considering his name is Lucas in the show. And he was talking about Herschel Walker, and he was saying how people, mainly PC, are calling Herschel Walker a free thinker and whatnot. And it's like, have you heard the stuff that Herschel Walker says? What in the world would qualify for that to be free thinking? But they only call it free thinking because he echoes the sentiments that they do. And the thing is, he can't even echo that right, because the stuff that comes out of his mouth just is absolutely ridiculous and makes no sense. If PC could wave a wand around and sprinkle some dust over black people, and we end up waking up the next day and have the mindset of a Herschel Walker, they would be so excited. They would probably piss their pants, from enjoyment, from excitement. They would probably be jumping up and down, doing cartwheels, backflips, throwing parades, shooting off fireworks, all the whole nine. If we ended up being like Herschel Walker. I guess I can end it off with this. To Caleb, please do not end up like Herschel Walker, because 9 times out of 10, that's how they want you to be. But I'm going to go ahead and end the video right here. Tell me what you think down in the comments. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure to click that bell twice to be notified. If for any reason the bell does not work, I upload my videos in a Premiere style format, which means you can click the notification button on the thumbnail and it should come to you should the bell not work. The links will be down in the description. I'll talk to you in the next